Yes, the 24 hours of Spa-Francorchamps GT Series bucket list visit. This is a summary of everything we did with lessons learned, and if you're anything like us, heading there for the first time, hopefully this helps with the planning so you get the most out of it. So my friend Toby has himself a supercharged S2000, which would have been lovely to put some miles on heading into Belgium. But for some reason, between passport control and the plane, he's lost his passport the week before we go. But luckily my uni mate Niloy stepped in and we were back on track. Planning wise, who doesn't love an Excel spreadsheet? These are my costs and planning bits and pieces. But would thoroughly recommend, if you're buying the tickets, get the paddock access. It was only about €20 more, but you get so close to the cars, it's nuts. Eurotunnel next, under the sea. Pretty painless, really quick. Don't curb your alloys driving through the train, and you can always pass the time by chatting to random strangers. So when we got to France, we were hoping our phones would just pick up the 4G network from some kind of operator, but we had to manually choose it. So then we made a beeline to Dunkirk, and on the video here there is actually a cafe there. We had lunch there. Then we sat down the beach to see some World War II stuff. So if you're like me and you grew up with films like Saving Private Ryan and just that opening 20-minute scene, I mean, seeing this in real life is just nuts. Had to be done. So we arrived in Malmedy, got our accommodation, grabbed some long-awaited proper food, some Belgian beer and some tunes, and got to bed. So let's talk about the parking we discovered. So where I'm hovering around on the mouse now is where there's sort of like a roadblock and people trying to sell you tickets to park in their field, basically. Although there's a campsite further up the road, and also no parking restrictions where I'm sort of hovering with the mouse now. So what we did is we sort of bypassed all of this, headed up the road and parked, found like the last remaining parking space on the day. This is day 2 when the weather is much better, but you get an idea of the campsite and where you are allowed to park. And so the nearest entrance is the end of the Kemmel Straight, basically. And this is us on day 1, about 9:30 in the morning. And the first support race when we walked in had just started and immediately got red flagged. And as we both made our way up the Kemmel Straight, we basically realised how dire the situation was as we got closer. Spare a thought also for Adam Fitzgerald. Could have been anyone, and he was just a passenger in an impossible situation, and wish him all the best. Straight into the grandstands to take a proper look at Eau Rouge and Radion. Never seen them in real life, so that was amazing. Can't describe the gradients on camera or on TV, it's just insane. And so with the running format of the day badly affected by the accident, there was nothing to do really except for wander around and check out the cars. And then eventually there were some support races that got started, and in the paddock area you could get proper close and personal with all the action heading out onto the track. Gotta love that retro golf livery. And with health and safety banning pretty much everything that's fun these days, this is actually really cool. But it's also big respect to the fans and their behaviour as well to actually allow that kind of stuff, which from my experience at like an F1 gig you just never get. There's too much madness going on there. 2 very tired people got some churros for some energy, and then we started wandering around the track seeing if we could find any good vantage points. Safety cars are always cool for bunching up the field, so we headed to the bus stop chicane, got seats pretty easily, sat there for a little bit before moving on. Hope you enjoyed the mad chuckles from the French people. So watching the Formula 1 on TV a month later, I messaged Niloy and I said, check out the crowds on Kemmel. Aren't you lucky we weren't crammed in like sardines? Which made, in retrospect, the Spa 24 hours a lot more pleasant. The crowds, it's busy, but it's pleasant busy, if that makes sense. So we stuck around, got some beers, and then headed home about 11:30. And that was the end of day 1. Now, worth a mention in the paddock area, if you're a massive keno with your sim racing like I am, you've got the Fanatec Arena, and I did give it a go. Tried to get me in on a wild card, didn't quite work. So with my dreams of making it in the big time shattered, obviously, I accepted the inevitable and dipped in and out of spectating basically the best esports players going. The next day though, you could actually jump on and have a go yourself, so we did to break up the day. Day 2, and we thought it'd be a brilliant idea to get there at 6 AM with the sun rising and have some sort of beautiful scenic sort of thing, but we were completely wrong and we were just shattered. So to be honest, we went home shortly afterwards and got some sleep. The two of us finally returned about 1 o'clock, and this time turned left at the entrance away from the Kemmel Strait and decided to do a lap of the circuit to see what the vantage points were like. So these are just a series of videos just from the various vantage points as you go around the back end of the track. So with the elevations and the high banks, this is almost perfect for spectators, especially when it's busy. And what you don't actually realise by walking around the circuit is just how scenic the place is, which is really cool. As you get towards the back straight, you do start to lose that gradient and the vantage points, but there are some sort of interesting bits where you can actually see and get pretty close to the track. I was hoping for better views around Blanchimont, but it's highly restricted, as you can see. Back to the bus stop chicane, higher vantage point this time round. You can look down straight back to Blanchimont, then come around, but again it's a little bit restricted, especially if there's more people knocking around. It's not really great. So we bumped into the grandstands, the main grandstands on the start finish. Tried a couple of spots there. It's okay, it's nothing too exciting. Best spot really is this one, looking down towards Eau Rouge and Raidillon, just because you can just appreciate the speed of them heading round there in real life. So that was the final spot that we parked up in the end. Had a couple of beers, watched the end of the race, and then wandered onto the track like everybody else. Didn't realise that was coming. Everyone's really well mannered to get this close, and for the event to actually allow people and spectators to get this close to stuff, I thought that was really cool. And then you can wander up towards the top of Raidillon before having to wander back the way you came, which caught a few people out. But that drew a close on day 2. Very pleasant. I thought being able to physically get onto the circuit afterwards was a really nice bonus. So starving Marvin, we'd headed into Spa for a nice meal, parked roughly where I'm hovering the mouse there, and then wandered roughly to where I'm hovering the mouse there towards all the restaurants. Some places weren't as interesting as they sounded, but Spa was very nice and food was great, people were friendly, what's not to love. So that was it. We said goodbye to Malmedy and all the nice pastries and croissants we had, made a beeline for Calais and headed home. If you do go, hope you enjoy it as much as we did, and thanks for watching.